It began as a whisper, an image that was never meant to be seen, an anomaly buried deep in the raw data of the James Webb Space Telescope. At first, only a handful of astronomers noticed the glitch in the spectrographic data. A pattern too precise, too rhythmic, too artificial. It wasn't a cosmic dust flare. It wasn't a dying star. And it definitely wasn't a comet. It was something else. Something cold, calculated, and terrifying. The object in question, 3I Atlas, an interstellar visitor already known for defying the rules of physics. But this new leak captured during a classified James Webb observation would change everything we thought we knew. If what the data suggests is true, then 3I Atlas isn't just another mysterious traveler from deep space. It may be watching us. And now, for the first time, the truth is leaking out. When 3I Atlas was first spotted, astronomers assumed it was another interstellar comet. After all, we had seen this before with Oumuamua and Borisov. Strange objects from other star systems swinging past our sun and vanishing into the void. But 3I Atlas immediately set itself apart. It wasn't just its trajectory or its velocity that raised eyebrows. It was how it behaved. Unlike typical comets, which develop a visible coma of water vapor and dust when they approach the sun, 3I Atlas stubbornly refused to follow the script. No coma, no tail, no water. Instead, it emitted only carbon dioxide, and in large quantities, while remaining eerily silent in all other spectrographic readings. NASA pointed the powerful infrared spectrometer aboard the Sphere-X observatory at the object, expecting to find confirmation of water or carbon monoxide. Two gases almost always present in comets. But the results shocked them. Nothing. Just carbon dioxide. No water, no carbon monoxide. A chemical profile never before recorded in the history of space observation. What kind of object emits CO2 exclusively? The answer was unsettling. None that we know of. Not even the strangest comets in our solar system matched this behavior. And if it wasn't acting like a comet, and it wasn't an asteroid, then what was it? As public interest grew, NASA remained unusually silent. But behind closed doors, a more powerful telescope had already been pointed at 3I Atlas. The James Webb Space Telescope, known for its unprecedented resolution and spectrographic detail, was secretly tasked with observing the object on August 6, 2025. No images were released. No press conference followed. Just silence. But now, a leaked report from an internal NASA analyst reveals what Webb might have captured. An object with no natural coma, but surrounded by a perfectly symmetrical CO2 halo extending hundreds of thousands of kilometers into space. Even stranger, the infrared signature revealed an unusual brightness originating not from sunlight reflection, but from within the object itself. Was 3I Atlas emitting artificial light? According to the leaked spectrographic breakdown, the emissions bore similarities to engineered photonic systems, meaning light patterns used in telecommunications or data transmission. The wavelengths weren't random. They were repeating, structured, like a cosmic Morse code. And if that weren't enough, the object was also measured to be 46 kilometers in diameter, far larger than any other known interstellar object, and too large statistically to simply appear randomly. For a rock of that size to enter our solar system from interstellar space would mean one of two things. Either our understanding of the universe is wildly flawed, or this object was sent here on purpose. Perhaps the most terrifying revelation wasn't about the object's size or its chemistry or its emissions. It was the path it took. 3I Atlas didn't enter the solar system on some chaotic slingshot course like Oumuamua. It came in perfect alignment with the orbital plane of the planets. A trajectory with only a 1 in 500 chance of occurring naturally. In other words, it flew in like a drone following a flight plan. It passed near multiple planets, including Earth, before heading deeper into the solar system. Avi Loeb, the controversial Harvard astrophysicist who made headlines with his theories about Oumuamua, called the trajectory technologically suggestive. He noted that the object's approach angle was not only precise, but designed to optimize observations from Earth-based and orbital telescopes, almost as if it wanted to be seen, but not fully understood. It traces back to the Sagittarius constellation, the the same patch of sky where the infamous WOW signal flashed across radio telescopes in 1977. That single, unexplained blip has haunted SETI researchers for nearly half a century, one of the most convincing hints we've ever had of an artificial transmission from deep space. Now pause for a second and ask yourself, what are the odds that the strangest object we've ever seen in our solar system hails from that exact same region? As the theories multiply, a new idea emerges, not pulp sci-fi, but an engineering possibility. What if 3I Atlas isn't a comet or an asteroid in the ordinary sense, but a technologically modified body? Picture this: a huge rock from another star system, deliberately hollowed and refitted with machinery, sensors, maybe even a habitat. The dense outer rock would act as radiation shielding. A thin engineered skin could sublimate CO2 to hide whatever's inside. To a casual glance, it would look natural. Only with careful inspection would the artifice reveal itself. This isn't purely speculative fantasy. Engineers and space scientists on Earth have seriously proposed using asteroid hulls as interstellar vessels, asteroid ships, that repurpose natural shielding for long voyages. Conceal engines and systems beneath kilometers of rock, let the object drift for millennia, then awaken when it gets near a target. If the leaked SphereX and Webb data are to be believed, those once theoretical ideas might not be theoretical any longer. We could be watching one in real time. And the implications are staggering. The 3I Atlas is artificial, then someone, or something, sent it. Meanwhile, what the public usually sees from Webb are exoplanet images, galaxies, and cosmic background data. But the encrypted internal logs leaked by anonymous sources tell a different story. Those logs describe an unexpected signature in the object's light curves. Initially dismissed as thermal flicker from rotation, the emission pattern didn't behave like ordinary thermal noise. Once analysts decomposed the spectrum, they detected modulation, pulses that matched prime number sequences, the very kind of universal math that SETI researchers have long argued would be an obvious first step for any attempt at contact. These pulses were not random. They repeated at precise intervals across multiple infrared bands, like a beacon broadcasting in a language of numbers. Even more chilling was a silent interval between pulses, a long pause that read like a waiting room. It was as if the object emitted a signal, then went quiet, listening for an answer. After that leak, the reaction was swift and secretive. Observatories were ordered to stop tracking and to halt public releases. The story was scrubbed from open channels. But the analysts who saw the signature knew what they'd seen. Within hours, requests for satellite retargeting surged across both NASA and ESA networks. These were not routine calibration moves. They came from defense agencies. NORAD and the US Space Force began redirecting assets. Within 48 hours, a classified X-37B space plane launched on an unannounced mission. Its payload remains classified, but reconstructed orbital paths indicate a deliberate, elongated trajectory with a possible line of sight toward 3I Atlas's projected path. Why send a top-secret platform for an anomalous asteroid? Were they sending observers, or preparing to intercept? Inside defense briefings, memos began using a new label, Technological Unknowns of Extraterrestrial Origin, coded as Tuesday EOS. These weren't meant for public eyes, but once leaked, they confirmed a terrifying shift. This object was no longer just a scientific curiosity. It had become a potential strategic threat, or at least a matter of strategic interest. As scientists continued to wrestle with the data, a small, bold contingent of astrobiologists proposed an even darker possibility. What if 3I Atlas isn't merely a probe, but a hybrid, part machine, part living system? Not life as we know it, but a biomechanical synthesis, metal frameworks wrapped in radiation-absorbing skins, neural-like AI networks enabling adaptation over cosmic timescales. Think of evolution guided not by DNA alone but by embedded intelligence, systems that learn and change while drifting through interstellar space. If that's true, then 3I Atlas may not have been sent. It may have launched itself. It may be autonomous, able to adapt its behavior in response to environmental feedback, to choose targets or destinations, even entire planetary systems to observe. The implications are terrifying. This is no longer just a rock, a probe, or even a ship. This could be something that learns from us, evolves from what it observes, or, in the worst case, assimilates the things it studies. In recent months, theorists and astrophysicists started to notice an even more troubling pattern: timing. The emission pulses, the trajectory angles, the orbital alignments of 3I Atlas all line up in a way that suggests its presence here may be scheduled. According to a model developed by independent astronomers, the object's path will bring it near the asteroid belt in just under 9 months. At that point, it is expected to alter course in a maneuver that would require either massive gravitational influence or active propulsion. Some now speculate 3I Atlas is entering a final observational phase, a countdown to something, a rendezvous, a signal dispatch, a transformation. The repeating signals we've monitored are already changing, shifting through phases. A number of analysts believe we're in phase 3 of a 5-phase sequence, with the eventual final phase coinciding with an alignment between Mars and Earth. What happens then? We don't know. But NASA's sudden silence, the military's rapid maneuvers, and the James Webb images that disappeared all point to the same conclusion. Someone, somewhere, believes something is coming. Shortly after Webb began extended observations, something odd started happening across the space communication network. Instruments began failing. At first, engineers blamed solar interference, but the pattern was unprecedented. Entire data streams from long-distance probes like New Horizons and even legacy systems such as Voyager 2 went silent in sync. Radio astronomers logged localized electromagnetic disturbances centered around Webb's observation windows. It looked as if something, or someone, was reacting to the telescope's focused gaze. Engineers called it coincidence. Analysts called it cascade failure. Those paying close attention asked a far darker question. Was 3I Atlas aware it was being watched? If so, what did that electromagnetic suppression mean? A defensive cloak? A method of warning? Because if it can interrupt communications from the outer solar system, it might also have the power to control what we can see. Traditional celestial bodies follow predictable rules: elliptical orbits, gravitational assists, decaying spirals. 3I Atlas broke those rules. Leaked tracking data showed sudden non-ballistic deviations, course corrections that weren't consistent with passive drift. Scientists at Caltech ran gravitational simulations, but no model matched the precision of the object's real path. The shifts read like intentional maneuvers. The most damning moment came on July 4th, when a sharp angular deviation aligned 3I Atlas with a specific star system, Lytton Star, a red dwarf known to host at least one potentially habitable exoplanet. Coincidence? Unlikely. If 3I Atlas originated from the Lytton system, if it knew where it was going and planned this route decades in advance, then this may not have been its first time passing through our neighborhood, and it likely won't be its last. After decoding parts of the signal, a group of fringe biophysicists made a discovery that mainstream science quickly buried. They reported that frequency ratios embedded in the signal reflected fragments that resembled DNA encoding, not just any DNA, but motifs compatible with human biology, helix-turn-helix patterns associated with gene regulation. In other words, the signal contained structures analogous to biological logic gates. Is this coincidence? Mathematical pareidolia? Or is the signal not just a message to us, but a message about us? Could 3I Atlas know about life on Earth because it has observed it before, or because it played a role in its origin? The mere suggestion sent shockwaves through the astrobiology community. It may be autonomous, able to change its behavior based on what it senses, to choose targets, to select whole planetary systems to study. Imagine a machine that can learn from its surroundings, adapt its strategies, and decide its next destination the way we plan missions. The implications are chilling. This isn't a rock, not merely a probe, and not even a ship in the sense we understand. This could be something that learns from us, evolves because of what it observes, or worse, assimilates the things it interacts with. In the last few months, a new, unsettling pattern emerged: timing. The pulses, the angles, the orbital alignments of 3I Atlas all point to the possibility that its presence here is scheduled. Independent astronomers built a model that puts the object near the asteroid belt in just under 9 months, where it's predicted to execute a maneuver that would require either enormous gravitational forces or active propulsion. People are beginning to whisper that this is a final observational phase, a countdown to a rendezvous, a signal dispatch, or a transformation. The signal structure itself is changing, shifting through distinct phases. Some analysts now say we are in phase 3 of a 5-phase sequence, with a final phase timed to an alignment between Mars and Earth. What happens when those planets line up? We don't know. But NASA's silence, the military's rapid moves, and Webb's disappearing images all point to one ugly conclusion. Someone believes something is coming. Shortly after Webb locked on for extended observation, strange failures started rippling through the deep space communications network. At first, engineers blamed the sun, calling it interference. Then entire data streams from distant probes like New Horizons and even legacy systems such as Voyager 2 dropped out, all in near-perfect synchrony. Radio astronomers recorded localized electromagnetic disturbances centered on Webb's observation windows. On paper it looked like a cascade failure. In the control rooms it felt like a reaction. If something in deep space was responding to Webb's focused gaze, what did that mean? Engineers said coincidence. Analysts called it a systems cascade. Others dared to ask a darker question. Was 3I Atlas aware it was being watched? If so, was the electromagnetic suppression a defensive cloak, a method of warning, or a way to control who can listen and see? 3I Atlas didn't behave like other celestial bodies. Traditional objects follow predictable physics, elliptical orbits, gravitational assists, steady drifts. Leaked tracking data showed sudden, non-ballistic deviations, course corrections that screamed intention instead of passive motion. Caltech models of potential gravitational influences couldn't reproduce the precision of those shifts. These were maneuvers, performed with purpose. The most striking moment came on July 4th, when the object made a sharp angular turn aligning it with a specific star system, Lytton star, a red dwarf with at least one potentially habitable exoplanet. Coincidence? The odds are thin. If 3I Atlas knew the Lytton system and plotted a route decades in advance, this might not be a one-time visitor. It could have been here before, and it could return. Then came a claim that mainstream science pushed into the shadows. Fringe biophysicists, after decoding parts of the signal, reported that frequency ratios inside the emissions mirrored fragments that resembled DNA encoding. Not generic biological noise, but motifs compatible with human-related genetic structures. Helix-turn-helix patterns tied to gene regulation. In plain terms, the signal contained arrangements that look like biological logic gates. Is it pareidolia, our brains seeing patterns where none exist, or is it something else? Could the signal be not just a message to us, but a message about us? Could 3I Atlas know Earth life because it's observed it before, or because it had a hand in seeding it? That possibility shook astrobiologists to their core. Before a formal paper could be published, the labs involved received legal orders to stop. Officially, the reason was national security and concerns about foreign satellite spoofing. Privately, everyone understood the truth. This wasn't terrestrial. This was interstellar. The most disturbing leak came from the Webb observation logs. A repeated, chilling line decoded from the IR pulses. Countdown initialized. 283 Earth days remaining. Importantly, that countdown didn't originate from NASA. It was embedded in the waveform itself, decoded from the object's emissions. Researchers raced to correlate the countdown with known events, solar maximum, orbital alignments, closest approach to Mars, but nothing fit perfectly. Then someone overlaid the countdown with historical data from previous anomalous visitors, Oumuamua and Borisov. A pattern emerged. Roughly every 7 years a new object appears with more complex emissions and a trajectory closer to Earth. Some now think 3I Atlas is phase 3 in a longer interstellar sequence, and that the countdown is not about something happening on Earth, but about something arriving here. Among the most controversial parts of the leaked Webb image wasn't the body itself, but what trailed behind it. Analysts first called it debris, ice, or dust, until enhanced processing revealed something else. A perfectly linear shadow cast across the infrared field in a way no natural object should produce. The shadow didn't shift with solar angles or background radiation. It kept its shape regardless of perspective. It seemed to follow the object independently of sunlight, like a projection. European Southern Observatory experts floated gravitational lensing as an explanation, but whistleblowers inside the Webb team used a different term: self-shading body. That term didn't exist in scientific literature before. If 3I Atlas can project its own shadow independent of starlight, it's manipulating space around it in ways we don't yet understand. Weeks later, after the object slid behind the sun and out of visual range, Webb scientists thought it gone. Then, buried in residual noise, astronomers detected a recurring signal at a frequency nearly identical to the hydrogen line, the universal language of physics. It repeated every 12 hours and 3 minutes, too consistent to be random, eerily close to the rotation of Earth's magnetic field. Cross-referencing old data produced a chilling link. Voyager 1 recorded the same pattern back in 1996 as it traversed the heliopause. Back then it was dismissed as static. Now, reanalyzed, it lines up perfectly with current emissions from 3I Atlas, and the pattern is strengthening. Is it responding to us? Is it homing in? A final Webb data dump contained the infrared spectrogram of 3I Atlas's core emissions. At first glance, the image was chaos: scattered heat bursts, high-frequency spikes, warped pixels. A software engineer on the image team converted the data to polar coordinates and overlaid Gaia star maps. The result traced a detailed star map, not of our neighborhood, but of the Triangulum galaxy, 2.73 million light-years away. Even more unnerving was that the alignment looped back to Earth, forming a perfect circuit. If that processing is accurate, 3I Atlas isn't just from outside the Milky Way, it's mapped a path here across galaxies. This was not a random fragment drifting through space. It was a calculated arrival. Despite the data piling up, the official line remains: it's a comet, it's debris, nothing to worry about. But behind the scenes at NASA, ESA, the Webb team and the SETI Institute, panic is spreading quietly. Conversations are happening that aren't recorded, discussions about non-human cognition, about the possibility that 3I Atlas isn't a vessel or a fragment but a thought. A non-biological intelligence encoded in motion, structure, radiation, and silence. It might not need conventional propulsion if it manipulates gravity. It may not speak in radio because it communicates through pattern, position, and timing. It might not perceive through optics. It could use entanglement-like processes to sense systems across time. James Webb may not have photographed an alien ship. It may have glimpsed an alien mind, and that mind is looking back. So what did Webb actually see? Not a comet, not debris, not a random interstellar visitor. It saw something that shouldn't exist, something that shouldn't move the way it does, shouldn't emit the signals it emits, and certainly shouldn't be staring at us. If 3I Atlas is more than an object, if it's a signal, a mind, a cosmic intelligence edging toward Earth with intent, then Webb's observation did far more than capture a picture. It triggered a response. It became part of the pattern. It became the observed. In the silence of space, something answered. A countdown is running. A map has been drawn. A signal is growing stronger. And the agencies who once hid the images are not panicking because they don't understand. They're panicking because they finally do. The question now is no longer what 3I Atlas is. It's why now? And what happens when that countdown reaches zero? If Webb's data truly points to a chilling truth, then this visitor isn't just passing by, it's coming home.